husband, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined today by Duke and Karen and Nicole Pesci on the piano. Please stand as you are in out of your spirit if you're able. We will sing, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
Join me as we recite our covenant and Bunny Hodis lights our chalice. If you are watching remotely and have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant. You may be seated.
Good morning. That sounded as tired as we feel this week. Has anyone had a month of a week? Yeah. Welcome, welcome. We are so glad you're here. I'm the Reverend Christine Dance, and my pronouns are she and her. In this sacred place, we celebrate the tapestry of our diversity, and we honor the boundless love that unites us all. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, for this time. one that is theologically diverse, that is radically inclusive, and that is justice-centered. Our doors swing wide to embrace all who seek a welcoming place. May our worship today be a source of inspiration, a wellspring of courage, and a call to action. As an unapologetically progressive house of worship, we are aware that many of you are here for the first time or returning after a long time, seeking community and solace in this time of turmoil. To all of you who are new or returning, we are so glad you are with us. We need to be together today and in the weeks and months and unfortunately years ahead. While you are here with us this hour, may you experience belonging and solidarity. And now to some of the fun announcements of the church, because still the life of the congregation goes on. Last night, we had a joyful, community-oriented, quite funny, very inspired auction to benefit the congregation. All of you who are involved in making it happen, cleaning up, setting it up, making the technology do, could you rise so we could tell you thank you? All of you who made that happen. Thank you so much. I know my spirit needed it. And while there is still some high financing going in final accounting, it looks like our total was around, ready? $22,000. Yes. For all of your generosity, thank you so much. And tonight at 6 p.m., we are hosting a concert by the singer-songwriter Chris Matthews right here in our sanctuary. Chris is an extremely well-known singer-songwriter, lesbian activist who I've been following on Facebook for years. So when she reached out and said, I need a place to stop between New Mexico and LA, can we stop at your place? After I stopped screaming, I said, yes, please, we would like that very much. Chris has written a song just for this week and speaks of issues that will fill our hearts. If your hearts need that, I highly encourage you to come join us tonight at 6 p.m. And I welcome a special team to come up to the pulpit now.
He's right. Good morning. My name is Carrie Lifshitz. My pronouns are she, her. As you may or may not know, Rev. Christine has been at UUCP for over 5 years. For every year here, Reverend Christine earns 1 month of sabbatical leave to be used between years 5 and 7. Next year, from March to July, Reverend Christine will take her very well-deserved 5-month sabbatical. Wow, we are all excited, right? That our minister will be taking some time. We also know this can cause some level of anxiety. So we are here to ease that and let you know that we are prepared and how you can be involved as well. The 5 of us up here represent the sabbatical team: Victoria Myers, Bunny Hodes, Shelley Stevenson, and Gary Ezell. And me, Carrie Lifshitz. I'm here too. This team will be guiding the moving parts of Reverend Christine's sabbatical, and we have already done some work. We'd like to give you a brief overview of the plan we've been working on. There are 3 main arms that we need to cover while Reverend Christine is away: administration, pastoral care, and worship services. To head up the administrative part, Bunny will be the liaison for the staff team. She will attend the staff meetings as needed to make sure things are going smoothly, because we do have an amazing staff. Bunny and Shelley, as board co-presidents, will be working with the board to make sure they have the support that they need. For pastoral care, Victoria will be the liaison between the caring ministry team and Emra Staten, who has agreed to help out with pastoral care as needed during the sabbatical. Then there are worship services. I'm going to be the liaison for worship, and there is a plan in the works. We will be hosting multiple UU ministers from varied backgrounds who do not currently have a settled ministry. They will come to Phoenix for 2 to 3 weeks each and give 2 to 3 sermons each. This will give the congregation an opportunity to hear from people with a wide range of voices, identities, and experiences. And we are really excited about this opportunity. And since we all know that Reverend Christine's responsibilities do not end with administration, pastoral care, and worship services, Gary will be our liaison for everything else. Those of you who know Gary completely understand why he is uniquely qualified for this position. So that's our plan. You may be thinking, how can I help? Well, we'll tell you one way. We will need help with our visiting ministers. The ministers will need a place to stay. Do you or anyone you know have a place they could use? Ideally, it would be the minister's own space, not a vacant room in someone's house. Maybe a casita, maybe the house of someone who leaves Phoenix for the summer. Also, we would like to make the ministers feel at home. Maybe give them a welcome basket when they arrive. Maybe dinners at congregants' homes. Maybe arranging a tour of Phoenix or a day at one of the amazing places that Phoenix boasts. If you're interested in helping or supporting our visiting ministers, please contact one of us. More details about how we'll be managing the sabbatical will be forthcoming. For now, we wanted to share this exciting news with you and remind you all. Katie took a sabbatical, and we stepped up and made it work. Benji took a sabbatical, and we stepped up and made it work. Reverend Christine will take her sabbatical, and we will step up and make it work. Thank you.
I am so grateful for such strong leadership in this congregation. And now, let us take a deep breath. Let us get in our bodies. Let us settle our bodies and our spirits as much as we can. And let us draw deeper into the present moment and into our worship.
Our opening words are from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's "Where Do We Go From Here" speech, delivered August 16, 1967, to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Atlanta. When our days become dreary and low-hovering clouds of despair, and when our nights become darker than 1,000 midnights, let us remember that there is a creative force in the universe working to pull down the gigantic mountains of evil, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Let us realize that William Cullen Bryant is right. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. Let us go out realizing that the Bible is right. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This is our hope for the future, and with this faith we will be able to sing in some not too distant tomorrow with a cosmic past tense. We have overcome. We have overcome. Deep in my heart, I did believe we would overcome. I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for Together time.
Good morning. How are you all? No, okay. I need to stop asking that this week, I think. Okay, so I need some kids over here to tell me, can you tell me what this is? What do you think is this? What do you think? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? It's not a cooler. What does it look like? I'll give you a hint. Some people who aren't married to Karen, who works in home building, have a smaller one. But our household has a really big one. What do you think it is? It's a toolbox. Yes, it's a very heavy, big toolbox. So there are some things in it. Does anyone want to come and see what's in it? So there's a top layer, and there's a bottom layer. There's multiple layers. Oh, see, now we're interested. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. What do you see? What do you see in there?
Hammers, tapes.
Hammers, mallets. What do we see? We see there's some string. There's a whole bunch of pliers. There's things that I don't know how to use, but I know she does. Okay, let's not take them out and hurt anybody with them, though. Okay, we're gonna just look at them right now. Yeah, you've got to have duct tape. Duct tape helps for everything, right? Okay, so I know. What is that? I don't know. What is that? I don't know. So a toolbox is useful for keeping all of your tools in one place. Why do we want to keep it all in one place? So they don't get lost, right? And why else? When we go looking for a tool, where do we want to look? In the toolbox. They're all in one place, so we can have it. Sometimes we go, something's broken. Let me see if I've got something in the toolbox to help with that. And sometimes I'm not exactly sure what I need. So we can think sometimes of our coping skills, our spiritual and emotional tools like this too. When we're going through a hard time, when we have a broken heart, or we're really scared, or we're angry, or we're overwhelmed, or we're grieving, we need to see what we've got in our spiritual toolbox. Things that can help us take care of ourselves in a hard time. So in your toolbox of care, what might you all have in that toolbox? Yeah. Pliers and hammers, that's wonderful in your physical toolbox. What about in a spiritual or emotional, when you're feeling really down or sad or confused, what might you have in that kind of toolbox? Yeah, John? Friends. That's a great thing to have in a toolbox. What were you going to say? Community is a thing that we can have in your toolbox. Yeah, something to hug. I don't know, I was under a fluffy blanket a lot this week. Did anyone else have it was nice, beautiful weather. This is good. This is time for all ages, and we are all aging the heck out of this time right now, aren't we? Yes. Yes. Walks in nature can be some things in the toolbox. Yes. Edibles. Edibles might be. Children, that means cookies and candies and maybe other things. Anything that you can eat can give comfort. What's in your tool? What did you say? Exercise. Very good, Felix. And he is exercising his tools right now. Yes. Something that you love. And what is something that you love? Your parents. That's awesome. So, yes, poetry, pets. Yes, pets can be great, great comfort. So we might purpose, absolutely. Yeah, be getting grounded on, yes. Last week, did anyone use any of the breath tools we learned last week? Candle and flowers, did you use them this week? Good, box, step, all of those. It might be singing. It might be a playlist on music. It might be writing or journaling. It might be reading a fantasy or fiction book. Maybe not the deepest, darkest book on white Christian nationalism this week, okay? Just saying, let's save that for next week. It might be doing a ritual. It might be volunteering. It might be helping somebody else. So those are a lot of tools, and I want you to think of your metaphorical toolbox as you are finding ways to take care of yourself this week and in the following weeks. And one of the reasons why you need a whole box of them is that you might find that for the job that you're needing right now, one tool might not work. You might need two of them. You might need to go into that box. Hey, you guys. Hey, y'all. Come sit over here. Come sit right here. I know, I just called you out. It's okay. But like there's a whole bunch of candles and glass there, and it's gonna make for a very funny ritual if that gets knocked over. Hey, Felix, come sit down. You wanna sit down right there with us? Or do you wanna sit right down here? That would be great, thank you. So we might go, oh, normally, walking outside works for me. That one's not working today. I might need to go to a ritual or do something else. We can turn into, what's that? Yes. What are the candles for? We're gonna light them later. We're gonna do a ritual because you know what? Ritual is one of the tools in our toolbox. See, Exhibit A. We're gonna do that. So when, sometimes, you might find that what's in your toolbox isn't enough. It's like if you're trying to cut down a huge tree and all you've got is, say, this. Is that gonna work? No. We're gonna need more and better tools. We might need to turn to an expert. You might need to talk, oh, Karen's saying me. I mean, that might be true. We might be able to talk to a minister or a doctor or a therapist. If there's something where we don't find that we have the tools in our toolbox, we can turn to other people who have it. The point of a toolbox is not that you have every single tool or practice you'll ever need, but that you've got a starting point. So I encourage you to think about what your toolbox is, what's all of the things in them, and draw from them when times get hard. So adults, that means you too. Thank you so much for your help on this. Do you want to help me put the toolbox back? And you can go back to your seats.
Each week, we split our offering between this congregation and an organization that shares our values. For November, our Share the Plate partner is AZ ACEs Consortium. An adverse child experience, or ACE, is trauma that takes place in a child's life before age 18. AZ ACEs Consortium promotes ideas, policies, and practices that bring awareness and understanding to the depth of the impact of childhood adversity and builds resilience in individuals. Families, and communities. They also support and empower Arizona's most vulnerable groups so they can reach their full potential. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for your willing hands in helping us pass the plate.
The wonderful Nicole Pesci, thank you so much. We recognize that our lives are interconnected now more than ever. Part of our communal journey is sharing our significant milestones, joys, and sorrows with each other. You can put a note in the chat in Zoom, and if you want us to read your joy or sorrow next week, there is a table right there in the back where you can fill out a card. Today, we have a few joys and sorrows. Bobby Reals. Bobby, where? I know I saw you. Bobby's right there. Bobby says, my brother Larry died this Thursday after an 11-year battle with multiple myeloma. Please keep my family in your thoughts. I'll do that. Very difficult time. And Amy and Stephen Miskell, can you stand up? Amy and Stephen have been very loyal members of this congregation, and since March of 2020, they have been watching online, commenting, helping online, but have been online every single Sunday. I am so glad to welcome you back in the sanctuary and welcome home. Their joy and sorrow says it's good to be here in person today, but I extended that a little bit. And Nick Pineda, can you wave right there in the back? The Pineda family wants to celebrate the greatest daddy, step-funkle, and husband we know. Happiest of birthdays to Nick. We are so very, very grateful you were born. Love, Matthew, Knox, Lilith, and Jessica. We love you, Nick. And we have from a note from Michelle Morgan and Sam Kirkland. They say that they are happy to spend November in Syracuse with family during these difficult times. And we're so glad you can still join us and snuggle with those grandbaby babies for us. May our joys and sorrows, oh, I've got one more. Oh, there he is. Peyton, do you remember Peyton from the sound booth who went off to college? Peyton has joined us online. Peyton says, my community and I here at Willamette, and he actually put in, damn it, Christine, so that I could remember how to pronounce it, Willamette University have too been in upheaval, but we have all been finding comfort in community and in each other this week. It would have been a harder time this week had it not been for that and an amazing person named Elise, who I am lucky to call my girlfriend. She is here with me, and we send love to our UUCP fam back home. Love, Peyton. Welcome back, Peyton. We're glad to have you. May our joys and our sorrows, those that are named and those that are held in the silent sanctuaries of our heart, help draw us closer and care for each other. For our prayer today, I am turning it over to one who has better words and a sense of presence than I do this week. Our Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who is the president of our Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. This prayer is from a Side with Love Vigil, which is our Unitarian Universalist social justice arm. It was held the night after the election while we were holding ours here in our own space. I turn it over to Dr. Sophia Betancourt.
Welcome among us. To begin, I would invite us to turn to the love that lives at the center of this faith. We as a community draw on many aspects of strength on our ancestors and the elders that have gone before us on our very best hopes for humanity and human living, on the guidelines of our understandings, on the commitments that call us forward, morning by morning and day by day. In the name of all that we hold holy, may we open our hearts to connection, to possibility, to resilience, to liberation, to collective power, and to strength and creating room, beloveds, for all those who are especially in harm's way, as we think to what we have already been told, what has been literally promised about the ways those in our beloved community will be targeted in these times. May we hold the reality that these recent events do not impact us all in the same ways. I'm thinking particularly of our transgender, gender non-conforming, and binary beloveds. This evening I'm thinking of migrants, immigrants, I'm thinking of people with disabilities, I'm thinking of people in need of reproductive justice, I'm thinking of people who are organizing and fighting for the liberation of Palestine. I'm thinking of those who are being blamed for the outcome of last night's election. I'm thinking of those who have long been blamed for the ways our nation turns in times like these. I'm thinking of those who have been told once again that their leadership is not welcome, is not worthy. I am thinking of all of those who feel less safe today than they did yesterday. I'm thinking of all of those who have never felt safe, who have so much to teach us of what it means to be survivors, to be those who thrive in days like these. I also ask that we hold our hearts open, particularly to all those who are holding others in this evening, in the days to come. Those who are organizing, those who are providing care, those who are doing unsung labor, those who are feeding children, those who are teaching and leading and learning and striving, all those who are making more room for the life, wholeness, sacredness, and sacrality of all people and all beings. As we enter this space, may we hold each one of us holy. May we hold our loved ones holy. If we have it in us, may we hold those who have put us in this position holy. And if we do not have it in us, may we leave it to those with more strength than we are carrying inside. May love be at the center of all we do, and may it continue to carry us through the organizing, the fighting, the resilience of the days ahead. Amen. Ashe. And blessed be. I'm going to pass it back.
Amen. Ashe. And blessed be indeed. We all recognize that fear is in many of our hearts, but the impact may not fall equally. We recognize that some of you are here because you are worried about yourselves, and some of you are worried about others. We want to do something to make it tangible to recognize these fears and hopes. At this table are candles. Please come forward and light one candle for each person, not for each person you think of, for you as one person. We don't have enough candles for all of the people we are worried about. But think about, name them in your heart, who you are worried about, who you are holding in your heart and your prayers in these days. And may the light of our prayers envelope them with love and safety. Create lines, please make it orderly, but please come up and light candles. We've got some helpers.
I am a mess. If you want proof, I'm pretty sure I forgot to introduce myself this morning. Hi, I'm John Palumbo. My pronouns are he, him. I'm your worship associate today. So yes, I am a mess. Reverend Christine talked on Wednesday night about how many of us have been going through fight, flight, or freeze responses to the election. Then she asked if any of us had had one of those responses. I raised my hand, all three. Sometimes I'm ready to fight. Sometimes I want to run away and hide. And sometimes I just feel so overwhelmed, it's a struggle to breathe. I am a mess. My emotions are all over the place. How I feel changes so rapidly. I'm in this constant state of emotional whiplash. I kind of feel like I'm speed dating with my emotions in hopes that I'll get over whatever this is as quickly as possible. But I am a mess. I've got children that are a mess, and I don't know how to help them. How do you convince your child it's going to be okay when you aren't sure that it will be? How do you take care of them when you don't know how to take care of yourself right now? I am a mess. And I know I'm not alone. I know so many of you are feeling how I feel, even if I don't even know how I feel. Thank goodness I have this community to turn to right now. Because if I've got to be a mess, I want to be a mess with all of you. Thank you.
Let's sing an African American spiritual longing for them.
I'm going to admit that there were about 17 times this week that I went, yeah, no, I don't want to be a minister this week. I'm out. Somebody else find words. Somebody else figure out what to do. Somebody else figure out how to give hope or comfort right now, because I don't know. People are looking for words, and I don't know if I have them. In 2016, when I can say his name now, he is no longer a candidate, and I was never endorsing him, to be clear. In 2016, when Trump was elected the first time, Karen and I built blanket forts. We were newly engaged, and we were waiting for our church's renovation to be done in a year and a half before we got married. Sound familiar to anyone that you're waiting for a renovation to be done? And in that blanket fort, we seriously said, do we need to get married now? Day one of us said, we can't believe we're asking this question. And day two, it's like, are we doing this out of fear? And day three, we were like, oh, hell yeah, we're getting married as soon as we can before he is inaugurated. So we have 2 wedding dates. We call our first one a Trump wedding. We call the second one our real wedding. But that's when we got married. This week has felt, in social media, it's felt a little bit like the weeks when there's a mass shooting or a mass event. The first day is just shock. The second day is people starting to point fingers at each other. The next day becomes everyone's got their own solution, right? Have you all been seeing this as well? And then there's people who are angry that other people aren't moving on already, and there's some people who are still in shock, and everyone's got an opinion, and eventually I end up getting off social media. The only difference is that this disaster is one that we as the American people have done to ourselves. And that disaster is going to last at least 4 years. And that makes this one feel harder. And we know that this disaster is not just happening once or didn't just happen. What the real concern is what is going to happen. And that's what makes this one so hard. I said at the beginning of this service that we are an unapologetically progressive faith. Our values have love at the center and include justice and equity and transformation and pluralism and interdependence and generosity. One of the hallmarks of a progressive faith, whether it is in Judaism or Christianity or in Islam, is that we are always working to progress the work of justice, to bend that arc, to make things better. It is hard to see how the president-elect embodies any of those values that I hold so dear, or helps move anything forward besides hate, discrimination, oppression, and division. Now, I need to make a caveat. I mostly have an assumption how many people voted in this room. I also have an assumption that people voted in this room. I don't know if any of those are true. And there are always in UU congregations people who vote differently outside of the progressive lines. And what I want to say is, if you voted for Donald Trump, I am unequivocally your minister. Hard stop. I am your minister. But what I'm going to tell you is that this sermon might not be for what you need today. This sermon is for the people who didn't. I'm not analyzing the election, what happened, why, the demographics. You all are getting plenty of that on the news, right? Are some of you turning off the news now? Please tell me you are. Amen to that. Instead, I want to say, what does this mean for us as a faith community? What does it mean? And even if you aren't a member of this faith community, what does it mean as a person who has morals and convictions and values that go against what is happening in the majority of our voters right now? I'm responding to the disappointment, the despondency, the confusion, the heartbreak that so many of us, our neighbors, our citizens, that our family members voted for a man that is so contrary to our values. And if they voted for reasons beyond that, which I believe many did, many are hurting economically. Inflation and housing and healthcare are pulling so many people down. But his values were not enough of a detraction to say he's disqualified from this office. We're all going to have different paths on how we deal with this. I've heard from so many of you this week, and I want to remind you, as I often do, that no matter where you are, and you assume that everyone else is, you are wrong. There are people who are in very different places than you are. Some are still counting ballots, maybe even with a little bit of hope. Some are numb and just want to disappear. Some are super angry. Some are ready to organize and act right now, as in tomorrow, as in yesterday. What I'm telling you is, wherever you are, I want you to spend as long as you need in that place. I will not be telling you that you need to move out of it, get over it, act a certain way, or that this is the way to do it. You take care of yourselves right now. All the way through this election, I've been calling the national election a soap opera. For those of you who are new here today, I've been calling it a soap opera because every episode there's something wildly new, a twist that we couldn't have imagined, characters that Elon Musk, what is happening? He was introduced, how did he get cast in this? And enough action that it made us tune into the soap opera week after week. And I've been telling you to make sure that you look beyond just that national soap opera. So I want to remind you of some other pieces of news that happened. Prop 139 was affirmed by Arizona. It is now in our Constitution that the right to reproductive care is legal in this state. It is a huge win, and this congregation was so instrumental in collecting signatures, notarizing petitions, and canvassing for it. We had people from outside of the state come in to canvass for it, and it passed. Congratulations. Abortion rights actually won 7 of the 10 states where it was on the ballot. We still have a ways to go, and there are still states that are not voting for it. Thank you, Florida. But it is progress. Delaware elected our first transgender person to Congress this week. We have 2 Black women serving in the Senate from the same state of Maryland. Has never happened before. Kentucky, yes, Kentucky elected its first African American to its Supreme Court. New Jersey has its first Korean American governor. And Arizona had a number of other local races that usher in more diversity and different thoughts of leadership all across this valley. And a piece for hope that I keep turning to is that I am not alone in all of this, that there are 66 million people at least in this country who feel similar to me. I am not an island somewhere that is isolated. My beliefs, though, are just not the majority of the electorate, but I am not alone. You are not alone. So all of those things are there to celebrate. And Arizona also passed Prop 314. No, that's not a good one. That's not a good one. Sorry. 314 is going to allow local police to stop and question anyone about their immigration status, and it can potentially lock them up in local jails. Combined with a president who has promised to deport any migrants here without papers, and even mentioning those who do, this is going to spell disaster for our immigrant community here in Arizona, breaking up families, many who have mixed status families. Our partners who are working for justice that we have been working with through this election are terrified. The other community specifically targeted is our trans community. Trump spent over $100 million in anti-trans ads, sowing misinformation and fear and demonization of people we love. That money would not have been spent if that was not a sentiment that worked in the American population. Our trans folks are terrified. I am so worried about our Black community who already faces so many headwinds. I fear that we have so much else. I'm worried about my marriage. With the decision that unrolled abortion nationally had all but an invitation to bring up gay marriage and renounce it. But I know that that fear will have people streaming out of this congregation, people marching in the streets to defend my rights. I hope that that is true for our migrant and our trans community as well. You know all the things that you're afraid of. You don't need me to list it out, even though I did. And I know you have more. And I just want to tell you, I honor your fear. I honor your rage. I honor your confusion. I honor your sadness. And I share it. Basically, I just don't get it. I don't get how people could act in ways that are so diametrically opposed to my values. My values feel loving and reasonable and courageous, and I can't imagine how people don't think of other people. I cannot conceive how we don't care for other people. And I know that that's not how everyone voted in saying I'm against other people, but it is the consequence of this. I don't know how to convince people that we need to care for other people. I do not understand how other houses of worship are saying that this is the Christian way. I do not understand it. I have heard people say this week that they voted for that person because he was the most like Jesus. I've heard it. You've heard it too. All the memes on the other side were bless him, Jesus, look over him. God bless our president. How is that a faithful response? I don't understand it. While Jesus is not my savior, I dig the dude. But that is not the Jesus that I love. I don't understand. But also, of course I do. We've seen racism and how it has shown up in elections since the beginning of this country. We have seen misogyny show up in this country since the beginning of our elections. We've seen homophobia and transphobia show up in elections for as long as it has been discussed, and before that, it wasn't even discussed. We have seen all this before. We just thought we were further than all of this. We aren't. We have more work to do. On Wednesday, I just wanted to hibernate. Anyone else didn't want to get out of bed? Anyone else just like, I'm going to sit on a couch, I'm going to sit on a bed? Some of us had to go to work. Some of us had to actually converse with people we didn't know who we voted for, and I was just numb. I felt alone. But of course, I am not, because I have all of you. I have Unitarian Universalists all across the country. I have people of progressive faith and progressive values who are also fighting for love, inclusion, and justice. On Wednesday night, we had 40 people here who showed up to cry, to share their feelings, and to hibernate in our own blanket forts. Yes, we made blanket forts. And they were comfy, right, Sydney? Yeah, very comfy. We were still angry, but we were less alone. And over these last couple days, my anger has become commitment. Because I've had to really look at my values and go, these are reasonable, right? Like, I'm not being gaslit, right? Like, these are how I believe. And I have become more committed to them than I ever have been. We need to continue our work. I am absolutely, positively sure that working for a loving, just world is my path. It is my mission. It is my job. It is my life's calling. I am absolutely sure that if my human interactions, my vote, and my work does not have love at the center, I don't want to be any part of it. And not just for myself, but for everyone. In my letter on Wednesday at the vigil, and John just mentioned that in times like these, we have the urge to fight, flight, or flee. And in the words of our beloved Reverend Brigitte Vieira, I want to remind us that we have a fourth option, which is to flock, which is to come together. Let's be honest, we don't know if this situation is going to be merely awful, fully disastrous, or totally catastrophic. We need to be prepared for all of it. It is going to impact our environment, our communities, our mental health, our economy, and our global standing. This is on top of systems that I already believe are failing us: our declining public education, our lack of universal health care, the costs and challenges of childcare and elder care, the income disparity, and the raging capitalism that makes those who are already rich richer, and those who are already on the fringes more on the fringes. We need to flock together. We will need to resist in creative and loving ways. I know that we will get that resistance in many different ways, but we need to be creative and make sure that it is productive resistance, that it is not just shaming other people, that it is inclusive, and that it always has love in the center. And in the end, I come back to us. We need each other. And now we need to take that to the next level. We really need to explore what mutual aid looks like. We need to make our tent bigger to welcome people who are seeking refuge in a faith that is full of love. We may consider needing to offer sanctuary. We need to show up for our partners, supporting those who are most affected, and not go in as lone rangers thinking we can do this ourselves. We need to make sure that our internal house is strong, our covenants are solid, our finances are stable, so we can be as healthy as we can be in order to respond to whatever might be coming at us. It's okay, because we've been practicing for this. In many ways, the world is exactly how it was on November 4th. The only difference is we have a clearer vision of the work that is ahead of us. Either way, we knew that the work was going to continue. I can't save the world. Hell, I can't even save myself. I can't wrap my arms around every frightened person, but I can work with you to continue to envision our beloved community. So take the time you need. Be sad, be angry, be fearful, but eventually I hope you come back to the same commitment. We are not going back. The path has already been paved forward. We already have an economy with migrants. There are gays all around you. We are here. There have always been trans folk, and now the only difference is we are encouraging all of us to live our full, authentic self and saying, I love you when you do that. This has always been here. We have a trans member in Congress. We are not going back. It's just that the road to go forward is slightly bumpier than we thought it was going to be last week. So we will be carrying on in carrying on. And I want us to try to keep our hearts open. We can be open to that mystery of love all around us. We can work in this community and in all of the other communities to be an example of that love and justice. Please don't let your hearts be hardened and become mean, revengeful, and hateful yourself. Try to use what's in your toolbox to keep your heart soft. We will speak truth to power. We will not let go of our vision. We will bring more people along as we model it. We have been through hard times before, and we will keep on going. We will not cede our vision without a fight, and we will protect our beloveds. In the words of activist Venice Williams, our faith calls us to be ridiculously courageous in love. Ridiculously courageous. Say it with me. Ridiculously courageous in love. We need to take love seriously. We need to give love wildly. We need to keep our hearts open. We need to flock together as if the world depends on it. Because it does. So might it be. We've got this, my beloveds. Before we close our service with our final hymn, we remind you to reach out to all of our visitors today. Our exploration hour for activities for children and adults start at noon. That's in 10 minutes. I knew I was going to go Pentecostal today, and you all were just going to have to sit through it. And I did, and I am not ashamed of that. Also, coffee hour will be in the Johnson Room just across the patio. So let us sing our final song.
Thank you, and amen. That's amazing. Thank you for this place to flock together, not just just this morning, but so many times this week, Reverend Christine. Our final hymn is by Paul Diaz, that was the first hymn. So, and it is, we've been singing it a few times. It's called I Am Willing. Every verse is a little different, so listen and sing along.
I am willing
To be hopeless would seem so strange. In this honors those go before us, so lift me up to light of change. There is hurting in my family, there is sorrow in my town, there is panic across the nation, and there is waiting all around. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. If dishonors those go before us, so lift me up to light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. For I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. If dishonors those go before us, so lift me up to light of change. Give me a mighty hope to hold my confusion, and in the desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder, and give me an ocean to hold my tears. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. If dishonors those go before us, so lift me up to the light of
Woo! Rebecca Solnit says, remember what you love. Remember what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. The pain you feel is because of what you love. Go in peace, go in love, go forward in community. We've got each other, right? Yeah, go in peace, go in love.